Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by again. Look, I was on Facebook this morning, and one of my Facebook friends shared this photo, which comes from a riding association level PPC, organization, People's Party of Canada. For those who don't know, for those outside of Canada, it's a very, very much right-wing party. People disenchanted with the existing Conservative Party on many issues and have lined up behind a guy named Maxime Bernier, who was a former cabinet minister under the Stephen Harper Conservative government and now leads his own party. And they shared this, and it has a very familiar slogan for both Canadians and Americans. Not left, not right, but forward. Now, who has said that? Many Americans will know that Andrew Yang, running on things like a basic income, he's had this slogan, not left, not right, but forward. I'm the one, he says, that can bring in disenchanted Republicans and independents without losing the Democratic base, because I'm running on a platform that is not ideological, that is not based on the old left-right dichotomy that has torn the country apart, blah, 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 not left, not right, but forward. And similarly in Canada, the Green Party of Canada has used this slogan on a lot of their materials. And they're making a pitch for, there's the left-wing parties and there's the right-wing parties, and we're the forward party. We're the party that, in a non-ideological sense, is trying to find the best solutions for Canadians on climate change and other issues. So we're moving forward beyond the left-right dichotomy that's divided the country. I hate that slogan. I absolutely hate it. And I'm not suggesting that the Green Party and Andrew Yang are equivalent to Maxime Bernier's People's Party, although the brand association for the Greens is terrible, I have to say. But rather, it is somewhat troubling and perplexing that these three distinct movements would use pretty much the exact same slogan. And they mean it in different ways, especially comparing, let's say, the Greens to the PPC. But why are they using it? Well, one of the reasons they're using it is this perception that people are angry about divisive politics. They're angry about, the left-right fights, the fights between Trudeau and Scheer, or between the Democrats and Republicans. And they want to move beyond that and find real solutions for people. But this sort of slogan really obscures a few key political realities. The divides that characterize our politics aren't because there's left-wing voices and right-wing voices. It's because a small percentage of the population have disproportionate social, political, and economic power. And the only forces planning to address that are the left. And I'm not talking about Justin Trudeau, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer left. I'm talking about Bernie Sanders, Jagmeet Singh, Jeremy Corbyn left. The actual left, the left wing of the Democratic Party, the NDP, the Labour Party, like these forces, and not, liberals, big and small L, are the ones that are actually planning to address this. So this argument that it's like, the problem is we're not finding the center. It's like, no, the problem is that the center has moved so far right over the past 30 or 40 years that the only solution for a practical exit from a destructive capitalism, both to people and to climate, is a bold left-wing plan, a Green New Deal, public ownership of key industry, expanding workers' rights, taxing the rich on their wealth and their income and their capital gains. That's the solution, right? And so this centrist solution, we're going to have a basic income, we're going to have slight tax increases here or there, but we're going to unleash the spirit of entrepreneurship. It's such BS. And the slogan is also terrible because it sort of sets up a false equivalency. It says, okay, we're the good, reasonable centrists. In the middle, there's us. On the right, you have bad people, and on the left, you have bad people, and we're the good people. Or, maybe more charitably, on the left, you have unreasonable people, and on the right, you have unreasonable people, but we're the good people. We're the reasonable, pragmatic people. We're not ideological. But it's drawing this equivalency, saying that, Donald Trump wanting to build a wall and exclude people based on, race and religious orientation and things of that sort, discriminate against people of various marginalized backgrounds, is the same thing as Bernie Sanders wanted to give every man, woman, and child health care. That both of those are equally unreasonable, and why don't we find the middle solution? That's what we're dealing with here, with this slogan. And maybe if you talk to Yang and you talk to Elizabeth May and the Greens, they would be more nuanced. They might suggest, yes, we believe that there's a new path forward, but, the left is better than the right. But their slogan, what defines these campaigns, doesn't match that. And it's very troubling that Canada's most far-right party, at least most far-right party that has any sort of, national media attention, is using the same slogan. Because they realize that being branded as right-wing is awful. It's a terrible branding. And, maybe they don't want to be seen as left-wing because that's such a bold-faced lie, but they want to don the mantle of centrism. Look, folks, ultimately, this not left, not right, but forward thing is just another defense of the neoliberal status quo. It tries to paint status quo defending as something that's actually progressive and trailblazing and groundbreaking, when it's not. The reality is that whether we've elected center-right governments or right-wing governments or centrist governments, there hasn't been very many center-left governments. They have all tried to don this mantle of reasonable centrism. And it hasn't worked, and it's always been disingenuous. And people like Andrew Yang and Elizabeth May and maybe even Maxime Bernier want to fool you into thinking that the left and the right both have problems and the center is where it's at. When all of the solutions we need to our society today come from the left, not from the center and not from the right. It's 100% balderdash to have anybody who's trying to credibly seek office as prime minister or as president or as even in a seat in the House of Commons on this narrative that, we're the good old centrists and the left-wing people who want healthcare for all and the right-wing people who want to banish people based on their race or ethnicity. Those are the same. We got to go right down the middle, people. Right down the middle. That's the solution. We have to find compromise between the people who deny human rights and the people who want to guarantee them universally. You got to find a solution, a compromise between these two things. And again, I get it. They might suggest that's an oversimplistic reading of their slogan, but that's what they say. They're not left. They're not right. They're forward. They're not saying, we're not left, we're not right, but we're a little bit more left than right, but predominantly we're forward. They say what they say, so I can only assume that they mean what they say. Look, on climate change, the only solution is going to be planning, public ownership, economic democracy, the empowerment of working people, and the subordination of the elite. Full stop. Addressing inequality, a basic income alone will not do it, especially one that's $1,100 goddamn dollars a month. That's not enough. You want a real deal basic income? Let's expropriate the wealth of capital. Let's build a socialist society, and that for all those who are unable to work, we give them a basic income. And we give it at a much higher rate than $1,100 a month. Much higher rate, because we can afford to do that if we build the socialist society. Talking about things like, inequality writ large, we talk about how the fact that centrism has led us to deregulation and the tax cuts, both for corporations and the wealthy, and how the left is the one with the solution there. All of these things, I think, offer a real left-wing vision as the path forward. Not a right-wing vision and not a centrist vision. Certainly not a vision that says that both sides are wrong and we have to go right down the middle. And look, it doesn't even make sense, at least for the Green Party. The Green Party maybe has this dream one day of converting conservatives and liberals and New Democrats all to their big tent. Concerned about climate, come to us. We're fiscal conservatives. We're social progressives. Again, not left, not right, forward. But that's not going to work, at least not for a while. If you look at some data from Abacus, there was recent data. I've shared this in a previous video. I'm not going to rehash it all. But what it showed is that if Green Party voters, current Green Party voters, were to vote for another party, they would overwhelmingly vote for the NDP, the furthest left-wing party in federal politics in Canada, followed by the Liberals, a center-right party, I think, but classified as a center-left party by the media. And very few Greens would vote Conservative, and very few Conservatives would vote Green. The most likely people to switch to the Greens are the NDP. The NDP are most likely to switch to the Liberals first, but then to switch to the Greens. All parties switch to the NDP second in that polling. Conservatives, Liberals, and Greens are all more likely to go to the NDP before any of the other major parties. And you know what that tells me is the Canadians are not looking for the not left, not right, but forward solution. They're looking for the solution that actually works. And it's a social democratic solution to challenge capital, to put people first, to put social programs before universal basic incomes, and to put workers before the elite, to put the 99% before the 1%. Class politics is back. And this not left, not right, but forward thing is, a barrier to meaningful class politics. Because class politics are very clear. There is a small group of people who control social and economic and cultural and political power. And the reason you don't have what you need is not because there's not enough technocratic moderates in the House or the Senate or the Parliament here in Canada. The reason you're failing, the reason you're struggling is, as Jagmeet Singh has said, rich people don't want you to have health care. Rich people don't want you to have dental care. Rich people don't want you to have pharmacare. Rich people don't want you to have childcare. It's simple. The rich people don't want you to have it. They just don't. Because they can't profit off it as sufficiently, or it'll raise their taxes, or both. Like, that's simple. It's not a conspiracy, it's political reality. And that's a left-wing reality. So, Greens, I know a lot of Greens, especially the activists I've met, do not identify as centrists. They identify themselves as progressives. Maybe they don't see themselves as to the left as myself or other NDPers, but they don't identify with this slogan. It's so absurd. I think the Green Party needs to really revisit this. I'm not accusing them of being the same as Maxime Bernier because, some PPCers and some Greens use the same slogan. But I am saying that it should keep them up at night, that they could even be partially associated branding-wise with the PPC. That it is even possible should be, blood-curdling for the Green Party. So guys, that's all I have. I want to know what you think. What do you think of this not left, not right, but forward slogan? Do you think it's good? Do you think I'm being too harsh? Do you think that, it speaks to a certain reality? Like, I really want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. I'll certainly read them all, and I'll respond when I can. Have a good one, guys. See you next time.